Interiors and Gifts Incorporated presents One of a Kind with Joe Vitri.
Give yourselves a hand. Fantastic. Thank you. My name is Joe Vitri. I come from Wilmington, Delaware. I've been in our glorious home interiors family for 23 and 1/2 years. I am one of a kind. And even better than that, you are one of a kind. You are one of a kind. That's the way God made us. Each of us in our own right, one of a kind, special, with different creative ideas, different creative facilities that we can use whenever someone asks for them, or whenever we got the gumption to get them out and go with them. Different, exciting, creative ideas, one of a kind, and don't you forget it. Don't you lump yourself with anybody else. I've walked around this place and I've watched women, and you hear them say to each other, I'm just a displayer. Don't ever let yourself say that again. You are never just a displayer. You are a displayer that is one of a kind that Home Interiors desperately needs and desperately wants. Give yourselves a hand for being here, because here is winners. When I started, I went to a show. The first show I went to, we knew nothing about home interiors in Wilmington, Delaware. And my girlfriend was invited to a demonstration. Now, demonstrations in those days were the only entertainment I had. We went to the demonstration. It was in Dolly's Rec Room. Rec Room 23 years ago was the cellar. You put the old carpet down. You put the old sofa down there. If you had money, you boxed in the heater. If you didn't, you decorated it. And that's where we went, to Dolly's Rec Room. And there's this little teeny size, must have been a size 4, young lady with her wares, setting out her little display. And the whole time she did her little show, I kept saying to my girlfriend, Lucy, hey, Lucy, I could sell that stuff. When the show was over, I said to the young girl, I'd like to join this. I had no idea it was work, of course. I had no intentions of going to work. And she said, my manager is in Dallas with the president of the company. She said, I'll have to wait till she comes back. I said, okay. It took 2 weeks. I did not drive at that time. I did not drive for almost 3 years when I started Home Interiors. So she finally had the manager call me, and the manager said, we have a meeting Monday. It's in King of Prussia. I thought I had to have a passport to get there. It's about 35 minutes from where I live. I had no idea it was even there. That'll give you an idea of the small realm that I lived in. I had my family and my friends, and beyond that, I really was not anywhere in tune to anything else. And I was perfectly content. When we got to the meeting, it was at the George Washington Motor Lodge, and it was downstairs. As I walked down the steps of the meeting room, and I saw the ladies down there, I realized, uh-oh, I am out of my element. I had on my penny loafers, no stockings, and my cotton house dress with 2 patch pockets and the zipper up the front. Now, I did have one black dress. I wore it plain for funerals and put beads on it for weddings. But I did not believe that this meeting warranted my getting that dressed up. And I got to the bottom of the stairs, and then I got a little nervous because all these women down there were kissing each other. And then they started to sing Jesus songs. I never worked anywhere in my life where they sang Jesus songs. And then something special happened. It was a rally. Mary Crowley was there at that meeting. I spent the rest of the day trying to hide my feet. But when I saw her put that mink stole on Kathy's shoulders, I said to myself, I could kiss all these women. I got so good at singing Jesus songs, I was up here leading them. So you see, I did not join Home Interiors for all the right reasons. After the meeting, the manager came over and said to me, I understand you'd like to be part of our company. I said, oh, yes. And I'm sure she could see that mink stole in my glasses. She said, I understand you don't drive. I said, no, I do not drive. She said, well, how will you go on your shows? I said, my mother will drive me. I was 40, my mother was 60. She said, that doesn't work. She said, it's very difficult to split the profit in Home Interiors. I said, we're not splitting the profit. My mother's driving, I'm making the profit. It was exciting. I had never been involved in anything like it. I'd never seen women so happy and joyful. I had never seen one lady energize a room so much like our Mary Crowley. And I thought, this is for me. I won my mink stole in 10 months. Because somewhere along the line, somebody pushed the right button. You see, you're doing decorating shows, and you're doing gorgeous floral design, and you're working, and you're telling the best stories, and you're showing the most gorgeous, gorgeous centerpieces and beautiful displays. None of that's going to make you a winner. Not a winner. It'll keep you in Home Interiors, but it won't make you a winner. You know what will make you a winner? Your want-to. You have to want it so bad you can taste it. And it tastes good when you're a success. It's sweet when you are a success. It's your want-to that makes this business work. And some of you don't want to badly enough to get to the top, because that's where you need to get. No mediocre middles. Everybody at the top. That's what it's all about. That's what Mary Crowley planned, and that's what Don and Barbara are continuing. To the top. Winners all. Nothing but, nothing less. You deserve it. Mary Crowley said, we worship a big God. He wants us to have everything. We're his children. He wants us to have everything, and I want everything. He serves a banquet. I'm not going to eat hot dogs. I'm going to sit at his table. Now, you can get it all. You deserve it all. If you're willing to work for it, you deserve it. If you're willing to service for it, you deserve it. If you're willing to share yourself for it, you deserve it. You only have to look to yourself. Nobody else. To yourself. How badly do you want it all? I became a manager in 10 months. Not because I knew how to manage anything. It was not Mary Crowley's favorite promotion. But I always knew she loved me. I always knew, always in my heart, that she loved me. How many of you came from a very strict household? Very strict parents. My father was born in Spain. My mother was born in Italy. They were old school parents. My mother's mother told her that if you're too nice to your children, be very careful because they'll walk all over you. My mother took her literally. What they called discipline in those days, they called child abuse today. Mary Crowley taught my mother and I to say I love you to each other. We had never said it. I had never heard it in our house. There was no hugging. There was no kissing. There was no sense of joy. Mary Crowley talked to me. and listen to me. It's the first time anybody had ever really listened to me. Long enough for me to say all of it, not cut it off in the middle. Not say, yeah, okay, now go do the dishes. Yeah, I understand. Okay, now go upstairs and make up your bed. She let me get it all out. And when I got it all out, she showed me now how I could forgive. Not that my mother did wrong, because she didn't. She did what she thought she had to do. She knew what she knew to do. There was just too much of something and not enough of something else. But she taught us to say, I love you to each other. And now, in my whole family, I don't think a day goes by that no matter who's on the phone or who comes or whatever, there is a goodbye, I love you. Orla came to do my first show. How many of you do home interiors? I got a smart crowd here. Someone says to you, do you work? And you say yes. They say, what do you do? You say, I do home interiors. And then they say to your husband, do you work? And he says yes. And they say, what do you do? He says, I do, doctor. You don't do home interiors. You know, when someone says that and you say, I do home interiors, do you know it takes you the next 5 minutes to pick it back up again? Because you know what she answers? Oh, you're one of them ladies that carries all that stuff in and have to make the people buy from you. And then you're trying to explain it. You never have to apologize for home interiors. You should never have to explain away some negative about your job. There should be pride in every part of your job, no matter how small it is or how big it is, because home interiors is the best. And when you know that down deep in your heart, never make apologies for it. Don't say, I do home interiors. You are an accessory specialist. Then she says, oh, what's that? Now you've started conversation. Now you've got something to pick on from a positive angle. When Orla came to share my first show, I had 35 women in my house. I have a little teeny house I had then. I had a kitchen, living room, 3 bedrooms, and the bath. 35 women came. I had 9 come from New Jersey in one car. Well, they wanted to see what goofy thing I was getting into now. I had just gotten fired from Avon. Anybody here get fired from Avon? Anybody? I should probably in Mr. Carter's Guinness's Book of Records for getting fired from it. I think the only person in the world got fired from Avon. She was an hour late because she couldn't find my house. And when she got out of her car, the manager, I saw that she had on white lace gloves, short white lace gloves. And I said to myself, if I could ever get to place in my life where I would be comfortable wearing white lace gloves, I'll know I have arrived. We talk about priorities, we talk about setting goals. How many of you love to set a goal? Raise your hand. You love to set goals. How many of you achieve them all the time? Oh. My manager used to say, now we're going to set goals today. I say, okay, you want a goal? I used to write down, okay, here's my goal. Now, had she put something at the end of the goal, I hardly even had to write it down. I knew I wanted it. It was at the end of the goal that I was looking for. I wasn't too happy about having to do the work to get it. But I knew if I wanted it, I had to do the work. And it was smarter to do it from a goal than it was to loaf for 3 months and then kill myself for 2. I found this in a magazine and I loved it. It says, success is simply a matter of luck. Ask any failure. We have no failures in home interiors. We have people that are not willing to give it what it needs. That's all. There are no failures. If you try, you'll make it in home interiors. The idea is to stop trying and then seeing yourself making it all the time. Then it's not a question of trying. It's a question of charting your progress. There are no failures with home interiors. I always firmly believe that if a girl came to one of the meetings and she did not even join us, for whatever reason, she was better for having come. She got something from us altogether that she would not have gotten had we not met her. She was better for having been there just to be with us for an afternoon. I believe we're that terrific. I really do. All of us together. I believe we're that fantastic. Here's something else to write down. If what you're doing is working, keep on doing it. But now do it with a flair. Do it with some pizzazz. Put yourself into it. Give it a little more oomph. If what you're doing is working, keep on doing it. Add more of you to it. If what you're doing is not working, why are you still doing it? Habit. Mary Crowley had Hazel Goddard one time for our sessions. Oh, we saw her several times. And I thought psychologist, you know. I thought, psychologist. I can't say that I was that impressed. Wonderful lady, fantastic speaker. It was where I was, not where she was, that this attitude came in. So when she was through, she said, anybody have any questions? I raised my hand and I said, how can you stop biting your fingernails? And she said, do you want to know how? And I said, yes. She said, will you try what I tell you? And I said, yes. You'll really do what I tell you? I said, yeah. She said, stop putting your fingers in your mouth. I have a wonderful husband, Ernie. He's a plumber by trade. He works at Amtrak. And as I said before, he has a second job. Always works. He is not impressed with my briefcase at all. In fact, if I put it on the counter, he might put his plumbing tools on top of it. It's a wonderful, wonderful way of living. It's a home interiors house. Some of you have small children, and we know that management is in your future, and we talk to you about it, and you come back and say, when the children are older, I'll think about it when the children are older. There is nothing greater in the world today, and I tell you from experience, than to raise your children in a home interiors house. It is a blessing. It is a joy. It creates such a wonderful atmosphere for family. And it is a growing attitude in everybody, because your positive absolutely melts away their negatives if you give it where it's needed. So you can't be home interiors here and then something else there. I did all that. I've been through every bit of that. I'll tell you a little story about me. How many of you have your telephone attached to your refrigerator? How many of you notice when the telephone rings and you have small children, automatically the refrigerator door opens? All right? My youngest, Rita, was about 7 years old. And Elaine called me. So I'm on the phone with Elaine. Oh, yes, Elaine. Oh, your order is in. Yes, of course. I'll be more than happy to. Oh, you rather have the pink flowers? Oh, gracious, I would love to. And I covered my mouthpiece and said, Rita, get away from the refrigerator. And I continued to talk to Elaine. Oh, yes. Oh, I can't wait till you pick up your order. I've got some. Don't touch that. I'm going to kill you. Yes, of course, Elaine. Oh, yes. Oh, certainly bring your husband. I'd love to have him come over. By this time, Rita had in her hands like a container of milk that I knew was going to go any minute. My phone is on the wall. I'm trying to kick at Rita. And I kicked so far, I pulled the phone right off the wall. Needless to say, Elaine and I hung up. And I grabbed Rita by the hair, and I pulled her to me, and she looked up. My Rita at that time had a 14-year-old nose on a 7-year-old body. Greasy hair. She looked like her father's side of the family. And I had her by the hair, and she looked up at me, and she said, Why don't you talk to me the way you talk to them ladies? Do we learn our lessons the hard way or what? Yeah, the hard way we learn them. See, sometimes we put our families through such torture in the name of, I'm doing this for you. And I think they ought to be able to say to us, well, when's it going to start? When's it going to get good? Because right now it ain't so terrific. We bring it in the house. We bring the freight man there. We bring in the cartons. We bring in call waiting. We bring in 2 telephone lines. We bring in the hostesses that tie up our Saturdays or Fridays or Sundays or whenever. We bring in, I need the car, I need the car, I need the car. We bring in, if you're going to take the car, you're going to have to unload it first. And yet we expect the man to accept all that very nicely and very easily and very readily. We expect the children to fall right in line. How many of you, when you go out at night, say to the kids, Mommy has a show tonight, you're going to be with Daddy? Stop saying that. When Daddy goes to work in the morning, do all the kids get out of bed and stand at the door and cry? The reason they don't is because Daddy's gone to work. Well, so are you. But when you say, I'm going on a show, do you know what they think? Pee Wee Herman. They're thinking Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. That's what they think. If you're going on a show, they want to see it. And many of you say to your husbands, don't plan anything Thursday and Friday because I have a show. You're going to babysit the kids. How come when I have him all day, I'm Mommy? When he has them at night, he's babysitting. Don't clap. It's your fault. It's your fault. You know why? Because that's what you tell him. You're going to have to babysit the kids tonight. What you need to learn to say, like I learned to say to Ernie, is, Ernie, I'm working tonight, and you will have the opportunity to be with your children without me. If you get your house in order, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, you get your house in order, everything else flows. It's when you're fighting your house that everything else becomes such a heavy burden to you. You get your house in order. You sit down with your husband. You sit with the children that are old enough to understand, and you map out what it is you're planning. You let them know that at the end of this tunnel there is a light that they are going to appreciate if they just hang in there with you and help you. If they understand that you need this. This is something that satisfies me. This is something that grows me. This is something that builds me. I promise you I will be better with you once I get into this strongly. But if you're fighting home and you're fighting the children, nothing comes together, and it's not fair. That's not what Mary Crowley planned. And that certainly is not why Mr. Carter and Barbara Hammond continued our wonderful business. They did it because they saw the possibilities of each one of us being better for it. And you've got to grasp it yourself. Who pulls your strings? What makes you tick? Who moves you? What is it that causes you to be great? How's your date book run? Are you in control of your date book? Do you have complete control of your date book? Does a girl say, I'll have a show for you, but I don't want to have it till June? Oh, wonderful. Let's write that down. Let's get that down in my date book, because that's a show. No, it isn't. Not unless you're booked like a Clara Radcliffe and, all these wonderful, I can't see out there, but I know you're out there, some of you. Wonderful, wonderful things. They've got their date book so full, they can pick and choose where they want to put people. You can't afford to. You better get your first 4 weeks done. 3 shows a week. Write it down. 3 shows a week, bottom line, every week, consistently. Win you anything you want. Anything you want, you can get it. 3 shows a week. every week, $1,000 week. That's a tremendous goal to go for. And don't think it'll happen if by chance you make it. That doesn't work. You have to plot it out. Your family has to know what your plan is. You have to put the shows in where it's good for you. And that hostess will follow suit. It becomes a pattern. It becomes a habit if that's what you plan. How many of you write her full name, her full address, and her full phone number on the page, or have her write it, better still? When women write their name with a sharply pointed pencil, it's like a contract, and she accepts it. Unless you break the habit of just jotting things down, you're not running a business. You're a demonstrator doing home interiors. And there's a difference, and you need to know the difference. You need to feel the difference. Only then it works. Booking by color is fun. How many of you use color psychology in booking? I love red. How many of you, your favorite color is red? Oh, that's very nice. I'm only booking the ladies that love red tonight. Now, somebody's going to say, she ain't booking me. And somebody else is going to say, do I have to? But you know what it does? Because you wear name tags and it says Joe Red, or Jane Red, or Helen Blue. And it lets you know the personality of the girl, the basics of her personality, which if you're a blue, and there are more blue in the world, how many of you love blue? I'll show you. Okay? More people love blue than any other color. It was God's favorite color. He made the sky and the water blue. So if you know that, and you know that you're a blue, and there's a girl out there that has blue on her name tag, you're simpatico with her. You can talk to her. You're going to walk up to a girl that loves purple? That's difficult if you're blue. Because the purple lady is very aloof. Lady loves purple is very exclusive. You don't ever say to a lady that loves purple, everybody on your block has this, you're going to love it. She don't want it. But the blue lady says, does Jane Smith in 1420 have it? Then I want it, only I want mine to look better. Coaching is happy talk. Coaching is not just 1,400 merits, or get you this, part your hair in the middle, I'll give you an extra 20 merits. Coaching is happy talk. Coaching is a time to sit down alongside of the girl, close, and put your hand on her arm and say to her, are you excited about having your show, Clara? And then shut up and wait for Clara to answer you. Because you don't shut up, that's the problem. You say, because Clara, I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring so many good things to your house. Oh, you're going to love it, and I'm going to have some new merchandise there, and maybe we can get all these girls. By that time, when I'm finished, Clara will say, nah, I don't think so. I went in, and I came out, and I did it myself. Are you excited about having your show? And then stop talking, look her in the face, smile, look her dead in the eye, and wait for her answer. Her answer will tell you where she is in her feeling and in her thinking. She could want desperately to have a show, but she thinks her house is too small. If she says, I can't, you say, may I ask why? You don't say, oh no, why not? May I ask why? Still close and still one-to-one. My house is too small. Do you have a sofa? Yes. Do you have a chair? Yes. We'll put the old ladies on the sofa and on the chair, and everybody else will sit on the floor. Shall I come Tuesday or Thursday? Well, Tuesday night I bowl. Wonderful. Let's make it next Thursday. Shall I come 7 or 7:30? She can stop you anywhere she wants, but you've already laid out the plan for her. If she continues talking, you booked her. Another one I used to do for booking when I would be in the middle of working, and I'd want them to come up and shop, and you know how it's hard to get them up and shop? I used to just turn around and say, oh, incidentally, I'm only booking the ladies that are sitting on the sofa. You ought to see how fast they got up and shop. About 5 shows of that, they'd come in and say to each other, don't sit on the sofa, she'll book you. But one time I had a girl that had pink on her name tag, and she shyly came up to me and said, Joe, I said, yes. She said, I was sitting on the sofa and you didn't get a date from me. They believe what you say if you say it sincerely. You are the professional there. You are the one that has the knowledge. And she's so grateful so many times that you even came to her house to share. She doesn't think her house is worth your coming sometime because it's not gorgeous, or it's not spotless, or it's not top of the line. Or maybe she desperately would like better and can't right now. And yet you came dressed professionally, brought in these gorgeous, gorgeous items, top of the line items, I might add. Don't be bringing in that $9.95 stuff because she can see it in the catalog and buy it. You bring in the big stuff. Carry it in. Let her see it. Don't go in her pocketbook. Men buy what they need. Women buy what they want. Go for her once. You'll sell a ton. How many of you have 11 or more buying guests at most of your shows? How many of you have 6 or more buying guests at most of your shows? I'll tell you another one that I used to do. I would say to the girl when I booked her, Clara, would you do me a favor? And she'd say, if I can. And I would say, would you just have 11 ladies in your home? I work very, very good to about 11, women. And she'd say, all right. And then she'd get on the phone and she'd make her calls. And she'd say, I need to know if you're coming. Well, I don't know. My husband might be on 3 to 11. I don't know if I can or not. Well, you have to call me back and let me know because I can only have 11 and I have to fill all the slots. And then about 4 or 5 days before the show, I'd get a call and she'd say, Joe, I got 14 that want to come. And I would say, oh, all right. Production and profit are bottom line. Production and profit, bottom line. $1,000 retail week gives you $300 in your pocket. That's nice money for part-time work. You do a month of that, you've got $1,200 in your pocket. That's nice money, part-time work. Don't you agree? Some of you are not doing it. Some of you have never done it yet. You can't let it ride. You can't assume it's going to come and it might happen by accident. You must control what you do. Your habits have to be changed enough to make it work for you. We are all treated alike because Mary and Don and Barbara know that we all grow at a different pace. It takes some of us a lot longer than others to make it in this business, and they're willing to wait. Another company wouldn't have kept me my first year. But then there was not a Mary Crowley in another company. She loved me from day one. I believe that attending sales meetings is the best service you can give your customers. One idea, one thought, one grouping, one new flower, one flower arrangement, whatever it would be that sparks you a little bit for those shows for the next coming week. That's important. And it keeps your business exciting and up. And sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is sit down to a girl that's done absolutely nothing with the week because all of a sudden your week looks good. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that. When you are at your lowest, when you have absolutely no shows, when your whole week has postponed, when you have problem at home, when everything seems to be falling in at one time, go to your sales meeting. There's not a place in the world that loves you more. Go to your sales meeting. Let them lift you up. Don't just go when you have a terrific week. Go all the time. Sales meetings teaches you to be on stage. And this is as close to on stage as most of us are ever going to get. But something inside of you said, I want to be on stage. You wouldn't be here today. Something inside of you, some creative something that the dear Lord put in you said to you, I could do that. I want to stand up in front of people and talk. I want to learn to do that if you didn't think you could. And I'll tell you what, this is the only company I know of that gives a continuing education for as long as you're with us, free. Free. Your show needs to have such pizzazz. You need to be able to spark these women. When you go to a show, how do you open the door? How do you answer the door when you go? I mean, how do you knock at the door? Is it? The hostess comes like this. Oh, there she is. Okay. Hello. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, come on in. And that's the atmosphere you created with that. But if when you get to the door, you've got a gorgeous basket of flowers or a beautiful centerpiece in your hand and your pocketbook, and you ring the bell or you knock at the door, she goes, oh, there she is. Runs right over. Hi, yes, oh, I'm ready. Sure, come on in. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And you've got something going. It's like our children. When the kids come home from school, if little Johnny comes home and says, Mom, you say, what? If little Johnny comes home and says, hey, Mom, you say, what? It's an automatic reaction, one to the other. And you have to create it first. Don't expect her to pick you up. Don't expect her to make your night good. You've got to make her night fantastic and her customer's night whetting their appetite, wanting more, wanting you to come. Service that hostess that night. You're there. Your goodies are there. Do her home. Give her all that you possibly can that night. When the hostess spends $12.95 and you think you got lucky, that's even dumb. You're there. What better time to service her? Go a few minutes early. Do her house first. Home interiors is the kind of business that unless you work it, it doesn't work. Not 8 to 5. You can't go and hide. You can't go and say, it's not my department. You can't go and say, I'm sorry, I'm just going on my break. If you don't work it, it doesn't work. It's as simple as that and as profound as that. Because when you work it, it works beyond anything you ever dreamed of. What do you want from home interiors? Do you know? Have you already said it? Are you just kind of in here for whatever you can get and do and be? Have you set your progress in motion? Have you planned what it is you want? Have you given yourself an opportunity to become what God wants you to be? You see, there's something creative in you. Nobody ever asked for it when I was home. Before Home Interiors, nobody asked for anything from me. I was Ernie's wife, Kim and Rita's mom, Carl's mom. And that was about the extent of it. And I was perfectly content. I didn't know I had any more to give till Mary Crowley. And Mary Crowley said to me one time, poking me here, which she used to do quite often, Joe Vitri, you are my diamond in the rough. And someday, I'm going to get out of you all that's good in you. And I thought to myself, no. So for about 7 years, when she came in that door, I ran out that door. Because I wasn't doing anything. Wasn't doing anything. My senior group for 1985 and 1986 gave me the honor of representing them as Queen of Senior Managers 2 years in a row, which was absolutely marvelous. And my last contact personally with Mary Crowley was in her home with my crown, my robe, and my roses. We were taking a picture. Ernie and I were standing with her. And when I went up to her, she hugged me tighter than she ever hugged me in all my years. And she whispered in my ear, still with her teeth clenched, I told you. My mom is proud of me. She's probably running around on the beach in Hawaii saying, my daughter's talking to a bunch of home interiors ladies right now. Loving it, loving it. My children are proud and excited. My Ernie, of course, beams. He never says anything to me. Ernie no, he's not that kind of a man. And I've fought that for years, so I finally realized, hey, he's what I got. Why don't I do something with him? Mary Crowley used to say, when a man marries, he says, I do. When a woman marries, she says, I intend to redo. I no longer want to redo Ernie. I want to keep him the way he is. It's the way I loved him in the beginning, and it's the way I love him now. And it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I thank you all for being here. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You made such a special day in my life. Thank you.